For setup of the area where you're going to be attaching swings, you want to make sure there's crash pads on the floor. In practice, in actual businesses, you'll see that the whole floor is covered, so you don't have to worry about them falling out of the crash pad. But for this video's purpose, we're just going to do this. And then we want to, maybe put some on the side in case they fall out of the swing. But yes, the crash pad is very important. So before we set up our swing, we need to attach the rotary device to the ceiling hook. You want to make sure the carabiner is facing up. Inspect it for no wear and tear. If there is, then it might be time to replace it. Since I'm tall enough, I'll just reach up and hook it up. For anybody that's smaller than me, you're going to have to use a stool or something to get up there. The next piece of equipment would be the rope with the head adjuster attached to it. Same process, carabiner up, inspect it for any wear and tear. We're going to go up and attach it to the rotation device.
General precautions for the swing. In this case, I'll be referring to the moon swing and the bolster swing that I will demonstrate later. Are to start with slow, gentle movements with your child first, and then making sure to take note if they are enjoying it or if they're showing signs of distress, like increased sweating, increased hiccups, or just hiccups in general, or just a general red face or flushness of the face. And then just being aware that individuals that have inefficient vestibular processing skills will take up to 2 hours to show any sort of input for vestibular movements. Another precaution you want to keep an eye out are for individuals that suffer from vestibular-induced seizures. If they do have that disorder and they're not on medication, then it's best to avoid the swings at all costs. But if they do have that disorder under control with the use of medication, then you can start by using just linear movements only, avoid rotational, as that may induce a seizure. And then just keeping the use of the swings in small, short increments. Implications or good use for the moon swing would be for individuals that have low tone of muscle, like children with Down syndrome. It helps them develop that postural control, as it requires them to kind of keep their core tight and their arms are holding on to the skinnier part of the moon swing, and then their legs have to be wrapped around and kind of firm to avoid from slipping off at the bottom. So it does teach that the postural control, it engages your core, and then also upper body bilateral strength is tested, and then bilateral movements, picking stuff up, throwing it, and then I would say bilateral for legs as well, since you have to kind of control that kind of tightness around the bottom. For the bolster swing, it would kind of, I would say, a little more versatile, since there is more uses for it. You could have the individual hanging from the bottom, again, increasing upper body strength and wrapping their legs around, so hanging from the bottom of the bolster, kind of like this. And then just sitting on top, it would test their kind of dynamic balance, as they kind of have to keep themselves upright while they are swinging. And both of these would be good for individuals seeking vestibular and just kind of that dynamic aspect to it of balancing.
To attach the moon swing, you want to bring the height adjuster down. Make sure carabiner's up. Same precautions for the carabiners as check for any wear and tear. If they need to be replaced, please replace them. Attach just like that, carabiner up. And from there, we want to adjust the height to about mid-shin height, depending on the child's height. And then it's set to go. And from here, we want to instruct the kid on how to get on. So we're going to hold the top and tell the kid one leg at a time, wrap it around, both hands on the swing. And from there, we could either swing them or they could swing themselves. To remove the moon swing, you want to go ahead and lower the adjuster all the way down so it swings on the floor. And then from there, you want to just unhook the carabiner. And then unhook the rope from the ceiling. To attach the bolster string, you want to start by making sure that the rotation device is not up there. You want to make sure you just grab your rope with the height adjustment. You can do the carabiner facing up, make sure there's no wear and tear, and then simply attach it. Next, for the bolster swing, you want to make sure you're adhering to proper body mechanics. That means bending at your knees to pick it up. With one hand grabbing the carabiner, the other, putting the wooden part over your shoulder, lifting it up, and hooking it into the height adjuster. From there, you're ready to use it. To remove the bolster swing, you pretty much want to do the opposite of how you put it up. So you want to make sure it goes on your shoulder once again, unclip the carabiner from the head adjuster, and then go ahead and lower it to the floor. And from there, reach up and unhook the carabiner from the ceiling hook. And when prepping to use a scooter board, you want to make sure to always store it upside down. That way you prevent any trip or fall hazards for the students. When you're ready to use it, you want to go ahead and flip it on its wheels, and then to safely allow a kid to mount onto the scooter board, you want to place the foot right behind the scooter board, and then your other hand in the front just to hold it in place, and then your free hand is going to use to help guide the child onto the scooter board. Once they're on the scooter board, you're going to be prone, and then you want to make sure they're pushing off the sides, not the front, because they might catch their fingers or their hands under the wheels.
With the use of weighted equipment, you want to adhere to certain precautions. So the first one being that you need to assess all individuals independently, as they require different things, different amount of weight. Second would be that if the individual is 3 years and older, you can use about 5 to 10% of their body weight on the weighted equipment. And then if they're older, like teens to 20s, you can use 10 to 20% of their body weight. And then when you're using the weighted equipment, you want to stick to around 20 minutes to avoid any habituation of that weight feeling, and it just becomes a norm to them. Then it loses the therapeutic value of it. Then finally, the most important one is to avoid using any weighted equipment while they are sleeping, as it is very dangerous.
So for putting on a weighted vest on a child, it's pretty simple. You want to have them either sitting or standing, and it's just one arm through, and then weave it around the back, and then have them put their other arm on there. Now this is good for kids that require constant pressure, or just as a grounding method for any kid that requires that as well. To use a wedge, you want to position yourself next to it. Make sure you're always next to the child while using it, just for safety reasons. This is good for infants that haven't reached a milestone on tummy time, so you want to use this to help with that. Next, you can also have the child sit on the edge to promote a neutral and anterior pelvic tilt.
So for intervention 1, the reasoning is really guided by Brian's two main area of concerns, which are his childhood obesity and his overall clumsiness. So we really wanted to kind of tackle that kind of weight loss objective by having him lay on a scooter, and then kind of having all his movements through the obstacle course be guided by his upper extremities. So just arm movement. Just his bilateral coordinations was guiding him through the obstacle course up until the very end, where he's allowed to stand up and then hop on each section of that crash pad to really engage his leg muscles as well. And then his overall praxis was challenged in the obstacle course by having him kind of scoot up to where the teddy bear is, grabbing that teddy bear, and then tucking it between him and the scooter board. Now what this does is that it kind of challenges all his movements from that point forward to focus on not letting that teddy bear fall out from where it is. So his whole objective is to keep that teddy bear safe and deliver him safely to the home. So then he has to move a weighted dolphin out of the way, which is a shark in this case, without losing that teddy bear, maneuver around the obstacle course, and then finally get up at the end holding the teddy bear safely, hop on each section of that bridge, and then stop, take aim very carefully, and then releasing the teddy bear onto his home. Okay, Brian, so today we're going to do an obstacle course, so just watch me.
Okay, Brian, it's your turn. All right, go ahead, lay down. Now remember, when you're pushing, push off to the sides, not in front. Brian, good job. I like the way you completed the obstacle course. Next time, let's try not to use our feet, okay? Just all arms.
Okay.
For intervention 2, I implemented the use of the bolster swing. The swing would help us tackle multiple aspects of what Brian's requiring. For his workout, in general workout, to kind of help him lose weight, the swing is good because it activates his core, so he tries to maintain upright posture while he's swinging, to kind of help him, throw those beanbags. And then I also kind of suggested for him to help me, move the swing where he's at the optimal angle to actually kind of kick forward to help me with the swing. That would help activate the muscles on his legs, get him a workout on his legs as well. The other aspect of working out was actually to kind of, maintain a firm grip on the swing so that he doesn't fall off. For his praxis issue, that really was exercised while he's performing the various grabbing of the beanbags on the sides, implementing bilateral coordination essentially, because he has to reach at the appropriate time where the swing is to grab the beanbag without knocking over the pillars and losing all his beanbags. And then also timing of when the swing is at an appropriate height to throw those beanbags and make it into the dragon's mouth or the buckets at the end of the each section of the swing. And then finally, also, that balance is important because we want to keep the swing in between both pillars. We don't want to knock the pillars over, so that was also very important for them to work together to stay straight, which they kind of lost it at the end, but that's addressed. And then the final aspect is the social aspect, which we address by bringing one of his friends in and having them work together to complete the same goal. The social aspect would have been executed pretty well if they actually communicated between each other, but that didn't kind of happen on the first intervention. But it's something that I addressed at the end and something that we can always build up on future interventions.
Okay, Brian, your turn. We brought our friend Stevie here to help us out today, okay? All right, have a seat. All right. All right, Brian, Stevie, I like the way you guys fed the dragons with their food. Next time, let's try to stay straight and then maybe passing beanbags to each other, okay? All right, guys, let's get off.